Hello guys, this is Elucent, and today I'd just like to make a very quick preview video, or generally a documentation video, for my mod for the modding trials, Goetia. So the way that you start this mod is, hold on, let me turn auto jump off. The way that you start this mod is that you find these lost scrolls in dungeon chests throughout your world. It can be any of the 6 types at random, but I've got all of them here in this chest, so I'm just going to use them all. Each one of these will unlock a new type of symbol that you can draw with the demonic chalk, which is crafted like so. So once you have your demonic chalk and you've found some symbols, you can start to delve into the mod. As you can see, shift right clicking with the demonic chalk will open up a little menu of all the different symbols you can draw. Hovering over a symbol will show a brief description of what the symbol does and what it's called, and it'll also show the XP cost. Every single one of these symbols can be written on the ground for free. You can just right click and it places it. But to activate it, you need a certain amount of XP. So I'll just do XP 1000 levels just so I don't run out during this video, and all you need to do is right click it and it'll start spinning to life, and this is the summon imp symbol. So a few seconds later we see an imp spawn. So generally the first thing that you want to do is you'll want to find the summon imp symbol and also likely the devil's trap symbol. Both of these are fairly inexpensive to cast, just 5 and 3 levels, and they'll allow you to get into the mod and have access to most of the mod's mechanics. Anyway, so moving on, I'd like to talk a little bit about the mobs in the mod. As you can see, I've just summoned an imp. This is the smallest tier of demon. They have 14 hearts and will essentially attack you like a zombie would. They're just very fast-moving melee mobs. I mean, they're fast-moving, unlike a zombie, but they will do essentially just following the player, and they're just melee attacking. They go down pretty easily, and when they die, well, it didn't drop anything that time, but they can drop bones, and also this imp tallow, which can be used to craft demonic candles. Speaking of demonic candles, I'll just place some of those in the world. So this is a demonic candlestick, just a simple candle, and you can turn it into a demon candle with these 2 gold nuggets to make a sort of stand for it. Just aesthetics for now. They do have a light value, but they don't have anything functional within the mod's mechanics. Anyway, the second type of demon is the Fiend. This costs 9 levels to summon, so if we just summon that, the Fiend is definitely a little bit trickier than the Imp. It has 26 hearts, if I remember correctly, and not only will it attack you in melee, it will also shoot fireballs. So if I go to game mode 0 for a second, then you'll see it's running after me, but it also shoots the occasional fireball. Once again, they go down fairly easy, although I may have just almost died there. Anyway, the final tier of demon is the, demon. This costs 13 levels to summon, and it is definitely the most powerful mob in the mod so far. So we just right click to summon like all of the others, and we'll see that a demon spawns. These guys are definitely a little bit larger and more imposing. Although in the future of the mod, who knows, we may get even bigger. So I'd like to use this demon to show off another mod mechanic, which is the devil's trap symbol. This is important for a lot of different features in the mod. So it's essentially just another symbol that you place down and you right click to activate. Well, you'll notice it's a little bit slower to spin up, and it doesn't really just disappear and summon anything. It just makes these sparkles when it's fully charged and just slowly spins in place. What the devil's trap symbol is used for is trapping demons. And so if we just lower this guy's health a little bit, and please forgive the frame rate, my computer is not the best, then you'll see eventually, once he gets to a certain low amount of health, it's about 30% health in the code, he will get trapped in the symbol, and you'll notice it starts spinning much faster, and he can't move. And if I go to game mode 0, you'll notice he can't chase me, he can't shoot fireballs or anything. Oh, by the way, this guy also shoots fireballs. He can attack me if I get too close, but he won't actually be able to make any actions. So once a demon is inside the devil's trap, you can actually just right-click the devil's trap symbol to dispel them and just make them disappear. But I don't want to do that right now, because there's something else I would like to show off, which is the next symbol, the Demon Forge. So this is a symbol that, when activated, will search for nearby items, and it will also search for nearby trapped demons. They do have to be trapped, by the way. If you have a sufficient number of trapped demons, which we'll see if I get lucky, each demon will has a chance of being good enough. Anyway, so the forge symbol will search for nearby items. Let's just toss a diamond there. And when it's activated, it will search for nearby demons, and it will essentially just eat them up and bind them into the item until it reaches a certain cost. If you have enough demons to meet the cost, then you'll create a whole new item. If you don't, then you just sort of wasted some demons. So if we just wait for this to spin up, it looks like I don't think we had quite enough demons. Well, you can never have too many demons, so let me just repair another Devil's Trap. And we can summon another demon. 2 should definitely be enough for the diamond one. And 2 demons is about the equivalent, well, in this recipe I'd say it's about, you need 2 demons, maybe about 4 fiends, which are the second tier, and maybe something like 7 imps. Those would be the approximate costs. Anyway, he's been trapped too. So let's just try this again. So Demon Forge. Oh, and by the way, this costs 11 levels to activate. So it's a little bit expensive, but it's definitely worth it for some good stuff. Alright, so as you can see, if you ignore the item stack bug, actually it seems to have just created 2 products. That's a bug I'll have to fix. Anyway, you'll see it just created the Soul Focus. The Soul Focus is essentially how you cast new spells in this mod. But in order to cast spells, you need a new mechanic known as Impurity. Impurity is something that you essentially gain as you do stuff with demons. Whenever you summon them, whenever you kill them, and through certain other methods as well. Essentially, the rule goes, the more powerful the demon is, the more impure your soul is. And the easiest way to discover how impure your soul is to use the altar. It's crafted very simply, just 4 stone and 2 blocks of coal. And once you place it down, you'll notice that your impurity is displayed in the center. Of course, I have a very black and hardened heart, so I have a very high impurity level, and it's definitely not because I was just debugging. If you have a high enough impurity, you'll also notice that there's all these spells listed in this circle around the outside. All of these spells will essentially, they all have a description of their effects, the minimum impurity needed to obtain them, and also the steps needed to cast them. You may be asking, what are these steps? So, essentially, if I take this spell Burning Touch, for example, it says Scorch all foes that you strike. Essentially, it'll give you fire aspect on all of your attacks. The steps are 1, 6, 3, and 4. If I right-click the Soul Focus, if I go 1, 6, 3, and 4, you'll notice that a little ring of fire and smoke appears around me. And if I go up to one of these spiders, I can punch it and it'll just catch fire. This will last about 30 seconds, as most of the different buff spells will, although there are a few exceptions. So that's essentially how you cast the spells. And also, one thing that I would like to bring up is if you summon and kill a demon, I'll just summon an imp for now, and I kill it. Get back here. You'll notice that my impurity used to be 1970, and now it's 1978. So just demonstrating that that actually works. You'll typically get about, I'd say about 5 to 8 for the imps, and maybe going up to about 10 to 15 for the demons. I don't remember the exact values off the top of my head. Anyway, so that's essentially the basics of Goetia. You summon demons, you can trap them, you can bind them into items, and by summoning and killing them, you gain a more impure soul, which allows you to cast more spells. So, at this point, I might as well show off some of the additional spells. So we've already looked at Burning Touch, which is essentially just giving you fire aspect on all of your abilities. The next spell that we will probably want to look at is Blast. This is a very simple spell, it just costs 47 impurity, and it has a very simple symbol as well. Basically, it just shoots a fireball. And this is a gassed fireball, it does have an explosive radius. We can just kill this pig. Yeah. One of the few projectile-based offensive spells in the mod. Most of them are simply buffs that you attach to yourself. Anyway, so that's the Blast spell. Next is Rebuke, which is 52462. So we go 52462. You'll notice the little ring of smoke and fire. And if I go into survival and I get, let's say, a spider, I'll probably want some food to heal up from all those demons. So I still have the Rebuke effect active. It lasts about 30 seconds, as I mentioned. If I heal up just a little bit, and I let the spider attack me, you'll notice that it gets knocked back and lit on fire a little bit. It only gets lit on fire briefly, about 3 seconds, so it doesn't do that much damage, but it does make it a little bit harder for things to gang up on you. Moving on, next is the Armor of the Fallen spell. And this is 4624534. It requires 138 impurity, so a bit of a jump. Some of the later game spells definitely require a lot of impurity. So if we do the symbol for that, you'll notice again the characteristic ring of smoke. And if I go back into survival again so I can get hit, you'll notice that occasionally the spider won't be able to hit me. Eventually it should be able to, but there's about a 50% chance that on any of its attacks it will fail. And I appear to be getting very lucky right now. And then additionally, you'll notice whenever I hit this spider, another ring of fire goes up around me. That's because every time you hit an entity with this spell, it extends the duration a little bit. So if you really want to keep the spell going, you want to go right into the middle of combat and keep hitting things so that you can keep the demonic juices flowing. The next spell would be the Chained Strikes spell. This requires 171 impurity. And essentially, it gives all of your attacks a bit of an AoE. So I believe the symbol, if I'm just going from memory, is like this. No, I think it's the other direction. But it's this sort of a chain segment. And if I just summon a couple spiders here, just in very close proximity, you'll notice they all get hit whenever I attack. And there's a little puff of smoke on them as well, just to indicate that they were part of the AoE. The third to last spell is the Ebon Wings. This is essentially just a flight spell, but it is temporary. It doesn't. It's not a permanent flight spell by any means, and you have to recast it. And in later versions of the mod, oh, I did this wrong. In later versions of the mod, I will probably make it so that if you get hit while flying, you probably will be cast to the ground, or at least the duration of the spell will be greatly reduced. So if I go back into survival, you'll notice that. Oh, that's a little bit of a glitch. Hold on, let me recast. I think if you switch game modes, it resets your flying capability, so that's why it's a little bit glitchy. But you'll notice I can fly in survival mode, and I have this cool smoky trail because I've got dark wings, I guess. The second to last spell would be Voracious Strikes. This is probably the most endgame spell at the moment, 250 impurity, so I'd estimate that's about 10 or more demon summonings, which are, of course, the most powerful ones. Those have about 50 hearts, so it's a little bit, you'd be summoning a lot of hostile entities to obtain this spell. And what it essentially enables you to do is ignore invulnerability time as long as you're using your bare fists. So I don't actually know the pattern for this one off the top of my head, 1625341. And I think if I just go into survival, you'll notice I can very quickly dispatch this spider because I'm ignoring its invulnerability time. It depends a lot on how fast you can actually click, so I don't think it's completely unbalanced, though I may add some more complicated balancing to it in the future just because it's a little bit of a get 250 impurity and then you don't have to worry about it ever again feature. And then finally, there's a very simple spell, the Inner Fire spell. This requires 111 impurity. Steps 3, 2, 1, 4, 5, 6. And this one, if I remember correctly, will just give you it'll give you a smoky trail, and it'll give you boosted speed and attack damage, but it'll also make it so you take more damage. So if I keep getting hit, then you'll notice I get a... Well, I'm not really sure if I'm taking more damage, but it is supposed to be. I think it's about 40%, so it may just not be noticeable since spiders don't do that much damage. But if I use my sword, you'll notice I can dispatch this thing pretty quickly. Again, not the easiest to notice, but you are doing a decent percentage more damage. And of course, the speed boost and Smoky Trail is hard to miss. Anyway, I think that about wraps it up for all of the features currently in Goetia. We plan to be continuing this mod after TMT, so certainly stay tuned for future features and maybe some rebalancing for the current ones. With that, I'm just going to put a close to the spotlight, and thank you for watching.